iAfrica searches for inspiration and innovation in all areas of popular culture, from fashion and design through to architecture, art, food, and travel. The focus is on outstanding individuals doing extraordinary things on the African continent. iAfrica presents creatives in their home nations, visiting renowned designers, musicians, architects who are leaving their mark on the young continent.
The African culture is always synonymous with color, and that has become a signature on iAfrica. On today's episode, we take you through another very colorful journey, starting off with Lynn Waters, who takes us through the palette from Mozambique all the way to Zimbabwe as she tells her story through food. Coming up after Lynn Waters, we speak to yet another artist, Tawanda Takura, recycling art and telling a different story in the narrative. And we close it off with yet another artist who is not only a face in Zimbabwe, but has made himself a global showpiece himself, and his name is Batsirai Muswe. That is what we have today for you on this very exciting episode of iAfrica. And if I'm allowed, I'll say this is my most favorite one so far.
iAfrica searches for inspiration and innovation in all areas of popular culture, from fashion and design through to architecture, art, food, and travel.
As you can tell, we are here in an African setting, but we are speaking all things food and culture. And of course, you've guessed it, it is African culture. I will be joined by Lynn Walters, who talks us through the journey of the taste buds and how those also help to define a specific people. And in this episode, we focus all on the people from the Eastern Highlands, that is the people of Manyika.
Hi, my name is Lynn. I come from Zimbabwe originally, and I went to South Africa and I came back again for many other reasons, family included. Well, in many ways it does relate to me because I come from here. I've seen it and I've actually tasted it. So yes, it does relate to me in many ways. I think so, yes. I think it does actually define any culture in any place, because everybody's got their specialties, and I believe in that. So I do think that food does define culture. From where I come from and from where everybody comes from, they've all got their specialties. Well, when it comes to Manyika's cuisine, I think it definitely comes from Mozambique, and it's a specialty which is called peixe, which is a special fish that is done from Angola. I think it's just something that we try and introduce to other people to know that we are special and we've got something to offer. Well, the murals on the wall actually are coming from Manyika itself, from Manyika land, and from where the owners actually do come from. So all of this is all a tradition to them. That name definitely comes from Manyika land, from where they were brought up, and that's where they come from. Well, I would just definitely say that everybody's got their own food specifics, and I would believe that if you do want to have a restaurant, anybody who's a food lover must also try their own specialties and just go for it and thrive. If anybody hadn't been to Zimbabwe and they wanted to try a traditional thing, I'd definitely say try the fish. Definitely something that's unique and different from their cultures. I would say give it a go.
So that was the story of the people of Manyika, not only defining Manyika culture, but also bringing elements of foreign food culture into the country. Of course, be sure to join us again in the second segment as we take a look at more people that are defying the odds in Zimbabwe.
iAfrica searches for inspiration and innovation in all areas of popular culture, from fashion and design through to architecture, art, food, and travel. The focus is on outstanding individuals doing extraordinary things on the African continent. iAfrica searches for inspiration and innovation in all areas of popular culture, from fashion and design through to architecture, art, food, and travel. The focus is on outstanding individuals doing extraordinary things on the African continent.
We are at the Zimbabwe National Arts Gallery, and I am having a conversation with an artist, Tawanda Takura, whose artwork is right behind me.
Takura is an experimental guy when it comes to his work. An extrovert, not so much. Someone who just enjoys exploring new ideas. My work is inspired by our day-to-day living, the things that we witness in the community, the social structures, almost anything that surrounds me and people that I live with. So that's what inspires me. So it all began, the journey, I started as a shoemaker. So I used to create shoes, sell the shoes in my community. Then after they were past their prime, I would go around the community, picking them up, salvaging what was left of them. And it got to a point where I would gather heaps and heaps of shoes at my backyard. So I started experimenting with the ideas, just putting shoes together, trying to see what else can I do with my creations. And yeah, shapes started coming out, started seeing things, and started creating some animal-like figures from the shoes. And then, yeah, that's how it started. And yeah, so my work mostly is found objects, particularly old shoes. But also I like to experiment, introduce more material, recycled material, something that people throw away. And yeah, when I find them interesting, I also use them in advancing my career. I wouldn't say to be inspired by someone that was outside of Zimbabwe, because we have our own people here that inspire us as well. So yeah, I was working with older artists when I began, and working with them was quite an inspiration for me, was quite a motivation for me. So I drew a lot from them. And because the issue of not having enough to work with in terms of maybe additives or provisions, myself and others like me, we end up looking at the people that we have, the immediate people to us. So yeah, mostly we are inspired with our local people here. Yeah, 5 years from now, I want to keep working. I want to keep creating, bringing new ideas, doing more shows globally, and obviously getting recognized for my efforts and what I'm doing. And for people to appreciate, especially the people from our neighborhood, to appreciate and understand where we are coming from and what we are doing and where we are going with our practice. Okay, so to the people that supported me, I would really like to thank my aunt, Lorraine Chirenje, my sister Sharon Takura, brother Ronnie, even friends and mentors that have mentored me. I had Mishek, who mentored me, Gary, Portia, and friends that also have mentored me in this journey. And yeah, I would like to thank them and for their continuing support in my creations and what I'm doing. It wouldn't be easy if it wasn't for them and the time they invested in me as well and the support. So thank you.
That was the story of an artist, Tawanda Takura, obviously dreaming bigger for not just himself, but for every Zimbabwean artist. Join us again for the next segment as we talk to yet another local artist.
iAfrica searches for inspiration and innovation in all areas of popular culture, from fashion and design through to architecture, art, food, and travel. The focus is on outstanding individuals doing extraordinary things on the African continent. iAfrica searches for inspiration and innovation in all areas of popular culture, from fashion and design through to architecture, art, food, and travel. The focus is on outstanding individuals doing extraordinary things on the African continent. iAfrica searches for inspiration and innovation in all areas of popular culture, from fashion and design through to architecture, art, food, and travel. The focus is on outstanding individuals doing extraordinary things on the African continent. iAfrica presents creatives in their home nations, visiting renowned designers, musicians, architects who are leaving their mark on the young continent. From well-known brands through to ambitious startups, every week iAfrica seeks out the continent's best design and lifestyle innovations. Join me, your host Nicole Jamu, as we take a round trip across Africa and get you inspired, motivated, and future-oriented. iAfrica searches for inspiration and innovation in all areas of popular culture, from fashion and design through to architecture, art, food, and travel. The focus is on outstanding individuals doing extraordinary things on the African continent. iAfrica presents creatives in their home nations, visiting renowned designers, musicians, architects who are leaving their mark on the young continent. From well-known brands through to ambitious startups, every week iAfrica seeks out the continent's best design and lifestyle innovations. Join me, your host Nicole Jamu, as we take a round trip across Africa and get you inspired, motivated, and future-oriented.
In the spirit of celebrating and recognizing art, we jet off to the streets of London, where David Zinyama, a creative, is riding on the wave of AI, creating portraits and images that are sure to drop your jaw to the floor. This artist is breaking barriers by shifting the narrative around the world status quo, creating art with images of some of the world's most powerful individuals in what could easily be described as peculiar scenarios.
As we take a round trip across Africa and get you inspired, motivated, and future-oriented.
Welcome to the third and final segment of iAfrica, and in this third and final segment we speak to Batsirai Muskwe, who is a fine artist. As you can tell, I am surrounded by some of his artwork, and we chat to him on what inspires him and why he got into art.
Batsirai Muskwe is a fine artist and a painter, to be specific.
Why particularly painting?
It's a genre that I chose, after, exploring other avenues of art, and I felt comfortable with painting. I've been painting for close to 30 years now. I started painting professionally in 1995, and my work has been collected in a number of galleries, private collectors, and a number of places. Being in the industry for close to 30 years, what I've learned from it, I've learned to be patient. I've learned, to wait for things, because, art is not something that just happens on and off. It's a journey that you build on, and gradually you get somewhere, because it's all about building your name from a certain, age and a period to a certain period. Yes, the art is abstract. Why that genre? I thought I would break away from the usual realism kind of art, because when you do realistic art, it's kind of controlled. You're painting things as they are. So I try to explode, and to think out of the box, and kind of rephrase the realism kind of work and put it into an abstract form.
Would you describe your target market to me, and what was the most expensive artwork that you sold, and how much was the price tag?
My target market is anyone who is interested in art, anyone who loves African art. Because if you look at my work, you'll find that there are a lot of African masks and a lot of African narratives that's in the work. So I am just targeting anyone that feels the African story. About the most prized painting, I'm not really sure, I've sold a lot of work over the years. I don't think I really remember which one exactly, but yeah, I've sold quite a number of paintings, since 95 to now. You'll see that there's a lot of work that has gone out. Well-known celebrity of late, there are some guys, I think it's a group from the States, they're called Coldplay. Yes, there's some work that's collected from them, yeah. And then there are a lot of other celebrities who have bought a lot of work in different places, and yeah, there is work in places. Yeah, I've just figured out over the years that art is not just, something that you do as a hobby or something that you enjoy and just say that I'm just painting for the fun of it. Art is actually a full-time business because, I'm a full-time artist, and that is all I've been doing since 1995. I survive from art. So, you need to have a strategy. You need to figure out your things. You need to have a vision. You need to have foresight, because you need to live out of it. So my encouragement to, people that are starting out art is they should have a lot of focus. They should also take it seriously as a business, like any other business. Yeah, this picture I'm painting has got two masks. It's called the duet or duet. So it's like two voices singing, probably an African traditional song. I like to work around with the masks because they speak a story to me. There was a time when I had an orientation of, stone sculpting. So I took the stone sculpting and began to put it on canvas and paper. So you'll find that, I've got a lot of masks going on, and then I've got a lot of African figures that I have in my work. So this is a song, a duet, a song being sung by two African people. As you know, in African music is the way we send our messages. We sing everywhere and anywhere. So basically, this is the narrative I have for this piece here.
So how long does it take to get an artwork like this done?
It depends. We work with inspiration.
Yeah.
It depends how I'm inspired on that particular day. Yeah. So it can take a day, it can take a month, it can even take a year. If I were to sell one thing about Zimbabwe to foreigners, it's the peace that we have here. It's the friendly people, it's the resilient people, and it's the hardworking people. It's a place where when you come from wherever you are, you just feel at home in this place. I've seen a lot of foreign people, I've seen a lot of people from out of this country being welcome in this place more than any other place. I've traveled in a number of places, and I think Zimbabwe is the best place to be.
So that is the story of an abstract artist, Batsarai Musque, who is not only telling the Zimbabwean story, but is also selling the Zimbabwean narrative. As you heard for yourself, he has interacted with loads of celebrities and has also managed to monetize his business. That's all that we had for you on this edition of iAfrica. Make sure that you join us again for the next edition. Enjoy the rest of your programming. I am your host, Nicole Jamu.
iAfrica searches for inspiration and innovation in all areas of popular culture, from fashion and design through to architecture, art, food and travel. The focus is on outstanding individuals doing extraordinary things on the African continent. iAfrica presents creatives in their home nations, visiting renowned designers, musicians, architects who are leaving their mark on the young continent. From well-known brands through to ambitious startups, every week iAfrica seeks out the continent's best design and lifestyle innovations. Join me, your host Nicole Jamu, as we take a round trip across Africa and get you inspired, motivated, and future oriented.